Some would say that Scott Kingery was the king tonight. What is going on, everyone? The Phillies salvaged the series against the Mets. They win tonight's ball game 5-2. This was a wreck emotionally. Unbelievable. But I would expect nothing else right now. Nothing else. That game was totally absurd. You know what else is absurd? Free $20. And that's right, you can get it by using the promo code BRODES on SeatGeek at checkout. Why not? Why not? This game, though. What was Gabe Kapler thinking? Well, after the game, you do hear some quotes out of Zach Eflin that he had oblique tightness, which crept in the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th inning. If Zach Eflin told Gabe Kapler that, he needs to use that information when it comes to making a decision. You hear that your pitcher feels tight with the oblique and it's creeping on him for a few innings. It's a tough position to be in because Zach Eflin was dealing. He had 5 1-2-3 innings of his 7. Only 84 pitches. Zach Eflin was fantastic through 7. But you're in a really tough spot. As a manager, if he's feeling some sort of way which can lead to injury, you're in a tough spot. Now, if that is true, and Zach Eflin stated that, which he did say after the postgame, or after the game was over in the postgame, he did say those words. As much as I want to crush Gabe and criticize that decision, you need to look at it in a different way. At the time, I was disgusted, though. Let's talk about it. Pete Alonso in the first hits a home run, a solo shot, 1-0. In the bottom of the second, though, we respond by scoring 2 runs. Brad Miller hits a solo shot of his own, and then Corey Dickerson gets an RBI in there as well, so we take the lead 2-1 in the second inning. Now, Brad Miller wasn't supposed to play, but because Jean Segura found out that there was a death in his family, I believe it was his grandmother, which is truly, truly sad to hear about, Brad Miller took the spot of Jean Segura as he took the game off, which is totally, totally understandable. So we had the lead. Zach Eflin was pulled in the 7th for a pinch hitter. Once again, the oblique thing, it plays a factor. If there was no tightness involved, no doubt in my mind, Zach Eflin should have been out there. Now, I know Zach Eflin hasn't been this shutout guy, this insane guy all year long, but he was on another level tonight. And you ride and die with that. I just can't throw that information out of the water. I just can't throw it away. Can't throw it away and not have that involved in my thought process of Gabe Kapler's decision. Now, the bullpen came in. Mike Morin went 1/3 of an inning. He was awful. Awful. Puts Hector Neris in a bad position. Of course, Hector Neris ends up throwing a wild pitch. It ties the baseball game. Things got horrible there in the 8th inning. We actually had a play at home where Rhys Hoskins gets a ground ball at first, goes home with the JT Realmuto, gets a nice tag in. Thank the Lord we made that play or we would have actually been down in the 8th. But they tied the baseball game up. The Mets tie it up instantly as soon as we take Zach Eflin out, and the bullpen blew up again. We've seen the bullpen do that already this series, right? We pulled Aaron Nola. The bullpen came in. They allowed, was it 10 or 11 runs in the last 3 innings? It was so bad. Well, you saw it happen again today, but this time, in the 8th, we responded. Bryce Harper gets a single. Rhys ends up walking. They get moved over. Intentional walk for Cesar Hernandez, and Scott Kingery delivers in a big moment. Double bases were cleared. 5-2 ball game, and the rest is history. Our bullpen was able to handle that. Hector Neris was able to get the job done there in the 9th. This team does it in a different way every single night. You just don't know how it's going to be. Tonight, it was the bullpen once again. Whew. But we delivered. That's the big thing. We delivered. It doesn't feel as as bad. It doesn't taste as sour because we won the baseball game, and somehow magically we are 2.5 games back of the wild card. We lose a series against the Mets at home, and we are 2.5 games out of the wild card still. Now we go on to Cincinnati next, and Drew Smyly's on the bump. He scares the hell out of me. He really does. He has not been good for us whatsoever, but we need a big outing out of him. Stroman was on the bump for the Mets. He hasn't had the greatest start in a Mets uniform. It hasn't been elite by any means. Let's be realistic, though. He would be good on the Phillies because our second best pitcher is Jason Vargas. But as for the Mets, he hasn't been this shut-down, insane pitcher. He went 6 innings today, allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs, and struck out 6. The Mets offensively, though, only had 4 total hits on this elite pitching staff of the Phillies. How about that? Taking a look at offensive stats for the Phillies, Dcikerson continuing to be a stud. He is such a professional hitter. It's so awesome to see his approach at the plate because it truly is elite. He's so smart. He understands the game. He is so good at executing up there. 2 for 4 today. Bryce Harper, 1 for 4. Miller, 2 hits. And like I said, he wasn't even supposed to be in the lineup. Scott Kingery playing some shortstop today. 2 for 4. And obviously the big hit. The king of the night. See what I did there? See what I did there? JT Realmuto is struggling in that 2 spot. Last couple games, a little quiet. He had a whopping 0 hits today. I don't know if the 2 spot is for him. He's interesting to figure out when it comes to where he feels the strongest in the lineup. Because we tried him at cleanup before, and that wasn't really good. You can't ever put him at third because Bryce Harper pretty much solidified that spot. He's weird to figure out. He really is. He doesn't work in every spot in the lineup. But of course, it's just a couple games here. Hopefully he can find a rhythm, get a multi-hit game, and start rolling once again, of course. It's not like it's been an insane stretch of bad hitting, but a couple games here of, not his best performance at the plate. The wild card race blows my mind. Blows my mind. But now that it's September, the rosters get a little bigger. We're going to have more to play around with. That should be interesting. We called up a catcher. Huh? How about that? A little bit of Andrew Knapp. Maybe taking over a little bit of Andrew Knapp's time? I don't know, though. Because we're in that wild card race. And it's very important to put wins together. And maybe experience means a lot. Even though it's not a good player with experience. But who knows? Who knows? This organization never fails to blow my mind. See, this is what bothers me, though. This is the type of series where if you win it, we creep up on the Cubs a little more. We stayed put. Here we are, 2.5 games back. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. But with the Cubs falling, this is where you need to jump up a little bit, where you need to execute so you can creep up on the Cubs, not stay put. Make a little noise, even if 1.5 instead of 2.5. Make a little noise. You have to. And when it comes to September, we're playing a bunch of teams over 500. Good baseball teams. But when I think of that statement, we are horrendous against bad teams and seem to play better against good teams. So maybe is that a blessing in disguise? I don't know. I mean, for me, logically, you think, well, it would be nice to play bad teams because you can beat up on them. We don't do that, though. We don't beat up on them. That's the problem. That's the issue here. They suck you back in because if we would have lost, the fan base would have been done. Getting swept at home, done. But they salvaged the last game. And they stayed 2.5 back. So there's a little bit of blind optimism. It's so unreal how this works. So unreal. All right, well, with that being said, I want to hear your thoughts on all of this. On Gabe Kapler's decision, keep in mind the oblique tightness has to be involved in the situation when you break it down. Has to be. Because as a manager, your job is to keep your team in the best position to stay healthy, to win. Well, would he have made that decision anyway? That's possible. I can't tell you no. I mean, it is possible. But still, understanding, knowing the news afterwards, hearing Zach Eflin speak, you might change your mind. I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.